Herzlich willkommen aus dem wunderschön neu gestalteten ÖW-Studio zu einem nächsten ÖW-Talk, diesmal mit Lourdes Berho, einer Tourismusexpertin aus Mexiko, die uns Deep Insights aus ihrem Leben gibt, aber auch, wie wir lateinamerikanische Gäste ansprechen können. Das Interview wird auf Englisch stattfinden. Ich wünsche Ihnen ganz viel Vergnügen. Lourdes, welcome to our studio. You spoke yesterday at the Austrian Tourism Days about the potential of the Latin American market. What developments are currently happening in the region?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for the invitation. It has been really very inspiring to see what Austria has to offer to the Latin American market. And I say Latin America because there is a lot, from Mexico all the way to Argentina. It's a huge region that has developed many travelers, worldwide travelers, who are really keening into what Austria has to offer, a very diverse type of vacation. When you have all the history and the culinary that is very important for Mexicans and Latin Americans as well, but also the nature, the adventure, the urban, the history, and everything that really combined really makes an experience, a travel and experience, very different from what Mexicans or Latin Americans really have in other parts of the region. So the trends are pretty much looking for those experiences and how Austria can really develop that product and get it closer to the travelers that we have.
Is there anything that Austria can learn from Mexico tourism marketing? I mean, you worked as a CEO of Mexico Tourism. Is there anything you would propose us to do?
Well, it's hard to know, and I don't know specifically the strategies that you're doing when you're promoting overseas. But what I also remember that it was a challenge for Mexico travel and Mexico tourism for us is that Mexico is also a huge region. It's very well known for its beaches. We have 100,000 kilometers of beach, but Mexico was not only beach. It's not sun and beach destinations. We have a huge culture and traditions and very diverse destinations that also include, the history, the culture, the traditions that are very appealing to the international travelers. So what we did is that, for example, we have a system that is called the Pueblos Mágicos, magic towns. And to be able to, even though they were very different destinations or very different towns, we put them in a system, in a platform where it was easier to sell overseas. So what it was very successful for us, and now Pueblos Mágicos is very well known in some parts of the world, and people want to go to Mexico not only for the big cities and the well-known cities or beach destinations, but also to visit all those little pieces of Mexico with very diverse, type of experiences, culinary, the taste of different food and different languages and different traditions, and how that was very appealing to diversify also the markets and also diversify the type of visitors that we will get.
In many of your projects, you emphasize on sustainability. I mean, Austria is on the 3rd place when it comes to the Sustainable Travel Index. How important is it for Mexican tourists?
That's probably something that we need to learn from you, because even though, as I was sharing yesterday in the presentation, 80%, almost 75% of Mexicans and 80% of Brazilians, when they express their interest on how they will choose a destination, they take the sustainability factor or culture very much into what places they want to visit, what kind of culture and what kind of dynamics they offer to the visitors, and especially the policy, but also what hotels are you going to be staying, what brands are really more keen into the new third millennium values, especially right now that we have, as I was sharing yesterday, but we have a population that is very young. So we're full of millennials and Z generations who are really traveling. And the very first thing they see when they choose a destination is how that destination or that place where I'm going to be visiting or that experience I'm going to pick is really in a pro-sustainable way. So we have to learn from you how you have be integrating that into your diversified offer. Because we do have that for certain places in Mexico, but it's just starting to really happen in a more, let's say, academic way, and how hotels are proactively in the narrative, especially the communication that they do, talking about the practices that they have pro-sustainability.
Did you have, as Mexico Tourism, also a kind of sustainability strategy, or?
Actually, when I was the head of the Mexico tourism, we have our, like you had yesterday, the Austria tourism big day, and I think you have another trade show. You know, we have our most important travel trade fair. It's called Tianguis Turístico. And when I was the head of Mexico tourism, we did the first one, which was 100%, let's say, sustainable, because we did compensate the footprint. And we asked all our suppliers to use much more technology on it. Instead of having brochures and having water all over, you know, bottled water and plastic, it was plastic free. So we forced the industry to think more into how Mexico really needs to gear into go to sustainable practices, and also more like into, let's say, an economy that is more for lineal to a more sustainable way.
You have an agency called Alchemia.
Yes.
Means alchemy, transforming something ordinary into something valuable. What has been your biggest transformation in marketing so far?
Well, first of all, I think our biggest transformation has been creating Alchemia. Because Alchemia, you know, I'm an entrepreneur, but I was more than that. I've been also a marketeer and a creative person, specialized on tourism, but it's not only tourism. But we wanted to have, we want to offer to our clients a different way of looking into marketing. And looking into marketing doesn't mean only generating the results. You know, sometimes, like, you know, when you are in a financial institution, you need to bring, you know, only economic results. But more than that is really the impact that you have and how the benefits that you generate to the communities you serve. So we serve brands to be more self-conscious about their purpose, their brand values, and the way they want, you know, their communication to be inspiring other people and their consumers, you know, if that's a consumer brand, and how they can really adopt those practices also in the narrative of marketing. So Alchemia itself is already, let's say, a transformative platform for us, for our alchemists that we call. And if we take the name, it's not just a nice name to have, it's really because we believe that in marketing, we take the most important ingredients by choosing what to mix. It's like in the marketing mix, like when choosing, you know, advertising and production and digital marketing and the narrative and the purpose and the brand values, and you put them together, the end result is better than when you started. So it's more like going in from the ordinary to extraordinary. And we believe on that.
Extraordinary is always better.
Yes.
In 2019, you were nominated for the Hope Binational Fellowship, which empowers Latinas in leadership positions. What experiences have you gained from this network?
Yeah, thank you, Astrid. You know, the Hope, which is called, yes, Hispanas Organized for Political Empowerment. That's what Hope means. But of course, it has a second connotation, which is hoping, you know, for something better. And it is a fellowship that works very well because we are, as you know, the United States and Mexico we're so close together. We have almost one territory shared. Even though, you know, the political divisions, we are really merged and blended. But what is going on, the challenge for women is that women usually we're having some harder times to reach influential positions, either in the public sector or in the private sector. And what HUB does is they are in this fellowship is really to give all the tools and the experience and the impulse that women in the private sector and public sector need to be leading in a different way. So you will see many of my fellows in the U.S. That are Latin origin, but they are already third, fourth generations of American born. They are right now very important political positions that are also influencing the way to govern, to generate, you know, to generate not only a prosperity, you know, economy, but also a population that is much more pro-inclusion. So that happens in the U.S., but it also happens in Mexico. And so what we've learned from that position or that fellowship is that women help each other. And sometimes we're the most resourceful, you know, community. Yeah. So that's really what we've been taking out of that, basically.
I mean, you have had different leadership positions in U.S. and Mexico. Are there any differences?
Thank you for asking that, because I thought there were not differences, because I was raised in Mexico City, but I went to school and worked for almost a decade in the U.S. So my professional life started in the US, in my leadership positions as well, and it was hard. But when I came back to Mexico, I noticed that it was harder because it's a very men-oriented, let's say, culture, where women are having harder times to really being able to be incorporated and integrated more than the home, let's say, mother type of role into the professional role. So the ecosystem to help women be part of the, of having a professional life and a personal life and being a mother if they choose, or and be part of the economy and the development, it's not as easy in the Mexico as it is in a better way in the US. So the only difference that I felt was the challenges of me developing myself in all those fields. But, I have a great husband for 35 years. We have 4 children. I have had great bosses when I used to be an employee who also supported me. So, being an entrepreneur now is like fulfilling all that part and learning from it.
So a very brave woman.
Thank you. So you are
4 children. I have only 2, but that's also good enough to handle. But with a good husband, it's possible. In addition to your professional career, you have been involved with the Casa Hogar Alegría Girls. I don't know if I pronounce it right.
Yeah, you pronounce it very well.
For over 20 years. What role does social commitment play in your life beside all the jobs and work and?
Well, if and that's also part of the, let's say, Latin American challenge. We have very populated countries, but with a lot of unequal, economic and demographic situations. So we, part of the challenge is I consider myself as my family, my kids, and the environment and community that I am part of, a very privileged, circle of people, and we take very much serious how we can really contribute to a better Mexico, a better world in our part. And you have to start with what you have. In Mexico, there are a lot of girls that are left behind either because they're abandoned or they don't have a family. So what we decided almost 28 years ago is to open a shelter for girls. It's called Casa Hogar Alegría. You pronounced it very well. And we started with 12 girls, and right now we have already 250 with 5 different houses, with a great, foundation that we have put together with people very committed, and the help from many people, and to really be part of the change and the transformation of these women, who are also going to be transforming their other generations. So we do believe on that.
So they live there and they are educated?
They live there. So we accept them from 5 years old and all the way to, we thought it was going to be 18 years, but then we discovered that they were not ready to leave the home at 18. So it's really until they are ready to be self-sustained that we kind of go with them to get a job or get married, get wherever they want to go, but they see the possibility of having all those resources. So yes, it's not only they live there, but we make sure they go to school and they have all the support.
So what advice would you give to a young woman for a future career?
That everything is possible. And I really feel that we as women sometimes feel that we have to fit into a specific community or standard just because we are a woman. And I think, not me, but the people who've been thinking in this project, we believe that a young girl should see herself as a young boy or as any, it's just everything is possible. You can be in sports, you can be in science, you can be, professional, you can definitely have a home and kids and being a mother or not being a mother, which is another thing. Sometimes people say, well, you have to be. No, there are many women, which I do admire, that they decide that they want to dedicate themselves into something different. And so just kind of probably breaking those standardized myths about what it is to be a woman. I feel a young girl should definitely feel that she has all the possibilities to accomplish anything that she wants.
Thank you very much, Lourdes, for this inspiring words and interview. Have a great time in Austria, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, Astrid. Austria is beautiful. We want to get more Mexicans to go and enjoy what this beautiful country
We will work
has.
on it.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.